Thousands of years ago, Hindu texts like the Kalki and Garuda Puranas detailed the specific societal decay we see around us today. The warnings began at the twilight of the Dwapara Yuga. Before our current age even started, the five Pandava brothers traveled into a forest and witnessed visions of the future that left them shaken. One brother watched an elephant with two trunks destroying the woods. Another saw a glorious bird, its feathers inscribed with sacred Vedic text, violently tearing into a rotting animal carcass. A third brother watched a massive boulder rolling down a mountain, crushing enormous trees, until it was stopped cold by a single fragile plant. When they brought these visions to Lord Krishna, he stripped away the symbolism. The two-trunked elephant represents rulers who demand service from the public while quietly exploiting them. The bird represents leaders who wear the aesthetics of holiness while driven entirely by greed. And that massive boulder represents the total collapse of society under the weight of its own corruption. The only thing capable of stopping that momentum is the tiny plant, sincere devotion. These ancient texts mapped out a world where institutions would stop serving the people and start consuming them. An era defined by the weaponization of power and the death of truth. The moral decay of the early Kaliyuga is a precursor to a total biological and environmental collapse. The Puranas project a terrifying decline in human health. This timeline shows how average lifespans are predicted to plummet, eventually bottoming out at just 20 years. The physical toll is staggering. People will begin aging rapidly at 12, and children will become parents at age 8. Humanity is described as becoming physically frail, but driven by an insatiable, ravenous hunger. As the earth becomes a wasteland, the gods themselves are forced to intervene. They approach Lord Vishnu to request a divine reset of the system. At this stage, human effort is useless. The texts suggest that once a civilization reaches this level of institutional and biological decay, an apocalyptic intervention is the only remaining cure. That reset begins in the village of Sambala. Here, Lord Vishnu takes his final earthly form, the warrior avatar, Kalki. Kalki prepares for a global conflict by seeking out the immortal sage Parashurama. High in the mountains, he masters the Vedas and the art of divine combat. After his training, Kalki visits the temple of Shiva to secure his arsenal. Shiva gifts him a magnificent white horse named Devadatta and a celestial sword known as Ratnamaru. Kalki rallies an army of ancient warriors to face the demon Kali. This physical embodiment of the age commands a legion led by the terrifying twin generals, Koka and Vakoka. The twins are essentially immortal through a divine boon, unless someone strikes both of their cheeks at the exact same time. Kalki charges the battlefield and delivers a simultaneous, lethal blow to both. Securing a military victory against Kali is the first phase of the cleansing. The physical defeat of evil prepares the universe for a total elemental overhaul. The final dissolution of the world is called the Pralaya. To perform it, Lord Vishnu assumes his Rudra form to dismantle the corrupted planet. The sky ignites. 7 intense suns appear at once, casting down a heat so intense it boils the oceans and incinerates the ruins of civilization. Once the earth is reduced to ash, the sky fills with immense apocalyptic storm clouds. Lightning splits the dark, and a torrential downpour begins, lasting for 100 years. The deluge submerges the planet, the fires die, and the earth returns to a state of absolute watery silence. This destruction is described not as an act of anger, but as a necessary cleaning of the slate, an elemental reset required before a pure world can return. As the floodwaters recede, Satya Yuga begins as a pristine, unblemished world rising from the wreckage of the old. The inhabitants of this world stand 21 feet tall and live for 100,000 years. There are no courts and no weapons, as people communicate entirely through pure telepathic thought. But the Puranas suggest you do not have to wait millions of years or survive a global apocalypse to experience this peace. Consider the story of Ajamila. He was a sinful man living a life of total depravity.
On his deathbed, terrified by the approaching reapers of hell, he cried out for his youngest son, whose name was Narayana. Because Narayana is also a name of God, Vishnu's messengers intervened and granted him salvation. The Garuda Purana suggests that because Kaliyuga is so uniquely crushing, the divine response was to lower the barrier for escape. You don't need immense wealth or decades of isolated meditation. The primary survival tool for this unique age is Nam Japa, sincerely chanting the divine name in your everyday life. While history moves towards a distant golden age, the Puranas teach that sincere devotion allows one to inhabit that same peace right now. Entering that state of consciousness is the ultimate protection against the chaos of our time.